So welcome back to the channel. So this is Jonas and this is our Arosa project. So in this video, we are going to be talking about this. So this is a oil catch can crankcase vent or crankcase breather. So different manufacturers use different terms. This is for the Seat Arosa and Volkswagen, Skoda's. They're basically the same, but this is very simple. This is because there are different types. There's a cyclone type, which is for the BMWs. There's a diaphragm type, which is for Volkswagens too, or Porsches. This is a chamber type. So there's just bunch of chambers that does its thing. So it serves two purposes. One, it serves as a PCV, so a positive crankcase ventilation. Second is it's an oil catch can. So yes, an oil catch can. So it's, to some mechanics, it's trivial to put an oil catch can. To some, they disagree because there's a theory. So if you've noticed in Japanese cars, there's just a PCV and there's no oil catch can. So the theory is that the PCV. Well, let's talk about first the purpose of a PCV. So the PCV's function is to recirculate to the engine, to the combustion system, the unwanted gases instead of venting it through the atmosphere. What are the unwanted gases? Our engine produces blow-by. Yes, it is. If your car has a blow-by, it doesn't mean it's broken. All cars produces blow-by. And it's just a matter of how excessive it is. If it's too excessive, then your car is kaput. What is blow-by? Blow-by is the combustion that escapes the piston rings. So instead of these gases going out of the atmosphere, it is being recirculated to be reburned, if you may say. Now, the PCV also helps minimize blow-by because of the vacuum of the intake. It tends to seal the rings more efficient. So that's the function of the PCV. Now, why does the Japanese has PCV and why does European cars or German cars has breather valves or crankcase breather, or what they say oil separators? So the oil separators function is to separate the oil from the fumes, because the crankcase has a fume. Now these fumes carry out oil. If you've noticed those kitchen overhead vents, they will be oily at some time because it's the vent from your cooking gets trapped from those vent. Now it's the same thing with the engine. Those fumes contains oil. Now we try to capture some of those so that it will not make a mess in the intake manifold. Now, the theory with PCV not having an oil catch can is it somehow works as a lubricant. The same as our, where is it? The Lucas thingy. It's an upper cylinder lubricant. It's like a 2T for two-stroke. That's the theory. But in excess, it will just create a mess and it's just going to be carbon and your intake will be just clogged. Now here's the thing. if you've noticed, we put this oil catch can. Now, sometimes it will be milky because there's moisture, water, especially when it's humid. There will be moisture. It's like a greasy stuff, whitish. Um, these things should be avoided going to your intake manifold because this will create rust to your valves, to your anything metal on the combustion side. That's why in aftermarket oil catch can, let me grab one. So from the PCV valve, then goes to the intake manifold. So the fumes comes in, all the oil settles here, and then this goes to the intake manifold, which produces the vacuum. Now, all the oil stays here, while on this oil catch, this is the crankcase output. So the fumes from the crankcase goes in here, and then here is the vacuum that goes to the intake. Now, this hole here is the return. So all the oil that is captured by the oil catch can drips out back to the engine. So the reason why this is out is because this O-ring or D-ring or whatever it's called is not sealing well. So it's a bit leaking. So that's the difference. The same with other, like, I can only speak with cars that I own or that I've touched. Like for example, for RX-5, it has the Cyclone oil catch can. So from the intake, there's a Cyclone thingy that has a diaphragm and goes to the intake, and it captures oil and then goes back to the dipstick. So that is the theory behind a coil catch can. Now, I like to put this on our cars because I don't want to have a messy intake manifold. If you've seen the X5's intake, it's always clean, no oil. But like for example, before I put this on the Lancer, it was always the throttle body is always, you really need to get it cleaned. I believe, I'm sure the Pajero is currently dirty because it doesn't have this. So what is the drawback with aftermarket oil catch? So you have to maintain this. You have to drain this. While this, well, in my experience, you still have to maintain this because not this one. Well, yes, this one. Because like the hoses, you see how flimsy this is? So because of oil, heat, this becomes flimsy, and with vacuum, this will just crush. This won't do its job. For the X5, yes, the corrugated hoses, they just break. So both ways, you still have to maintain them. But this needs regular maintenance. Unless maybe you put a drain, then recirculate it to the oil pan. But again, as I've mentioned earlier, sometimes we catch oil that is creamy. So it's moisture and everything, which is good because instead of this moisture going into the intake or going back to the oil pan, it gets captured here, and then you just have to drain it out. Where do you need to put this, and why do you have to have a very heavy oil catch? Now, Jonas, why can I just not use a like this, a bottle? So put hoses, let the fumes come in, go out, and everything. Well, this will just be crushed, and the reason why this is thick, it's because you want a different temperature, a cooler temperature from the inside. The reason why you want it cooler is for oil from fumes turn into oil. That's why it stays here. Where do you want to put this? Well, as far away from the engine, in some cooler parts in the engine bay. This is behind the engine near the firewall, so it's cooler there. So that's why there are some oil catch can that has vents. So the vent helps in the cooling process. But again, that vent is venting air, if that's correct, is venting air, not much, because if it's pushing in a lot of air, then you're gonna have a rough idle. Anything regarding vacuum that is leaking, it will produce a rough idle. Vacuum, what I mean by vacuum is vacuum for this vacuum that goes to the PCV, vacuum for the brake boosters. Now, why does it cause rough idle? Because the air that's coming in or through that system doesn't go through the MAF sensor. If you're using a MAF sensor, if you're using a MAP sensor, then I don't think it would matter. Maybe it will, because it's still going to read a different pressure. So, anyways, hope you like this. Peace.